Hello, hello, hello. This is Patty, and we are getting ready. I'm waiting here for a few seconds. We're getting ready to do a video on empaths and dating. How about that? I don't know how many empaths are out there, but I'm going to wait a second as I don't want anybody to miss anything if they do come on. If not, that this will be recorded, and so you can play back, or if you want to share with somebody, you can always play it back. So that'll be offered to you. And yeah, so also too, this is a live. I like doing them live. And so the reason why I did this live is if you have any questions while I am doing this, I can definitely answer some of your questions. I may want to finish a thought or something first, but just, ask away. If you are coming on and you are from another country or wherever you're from, I would love to know where you're from. So these are pretty informal. And if you have actually missed the Empath series, Life as an Empath, I have a 4-part series that you can go and look down below. And I'm going to try to not hold on to this table because I noticed lately it's getting wobblier. So, excuse me. So if I lean on it, then it gets all moving. So bear with me there. And my voice has been going in and out too. So, so let's get started. So again, if you haven't watched the Empath series, there's 4 parts, and it's talking about the different things about different kinds of empaths, different sensitivities that they may have. I am an empath that is very intuitive, but I have all 8. So there's 8 different types. So, but I did those, and something on my heart was leaning to do something about dating an empath, or if you're an empath and dating, because there are some challenges to it. And then you can embrace it too, because it depends on if you're female for one and you're dating a guy and they're not an empath, or they don't even know what an empath is. Those are challenges there. Or maybe you're, guy and girl, or however you are, but not both partners are empaths, and when they are empaths. Those are kind of things that I want to look at today and help you to understand, to note the red flags, not only for yourself, but maybe for your partner. And if that partner is really actually the partner for you, and you don't want to create any soul ties with partners that are not going to be there for you, especially because if it brings kids into the world and it wasn't even meant to be, then that becomes a whole nother issue. And then you're tied to them for life. So those are the things that we're going to actually talk about today. So let's get started. So I don't know how many of you out there are empaths, or even if you're dating, but we're going to start from the very basics. So when we're dating, it should be a process of actually an interview process. So when you're dating and you're an empath, a lot of empaths live a secret world. They don't talk about it. They're ashamed of it. Some people even think it's a curse. Some people embrace it, which is an awesome, awesome thing. But it may take you a couple of levels to get there so that you can actually accept it, to talk to somebody about it. However, when you're starting to date, you sort of go through the process of interviewing. For me, I'm still single, and that's by choice. A lot of people say, well, why is she still single and talk about this? Let me tell you, I'm a good dating expert. But the thing is, and because I'm also older, I know this different stages. Back in the day, dating was very different than it is here now. But, and very different than it now compared to back then. But also too, I didn't have the abilities I had back then. I did, but they were squished. And I kept them quiet, and I never talked about them, and I would never tell anybody about them, because then they would think I was crazy or nuts. I was nuts. So the thing is that when you start dating, it's a brand new process. You're excited, you're nervous, you're not sure what to say, what to not say, and those kind of things. And in the first 3 dates, it should be really an interview process. And in that interview process, one of the questions you should be asking the person is, do you know what an empath is? And if they say no, then you have to leave it go for a little bit. because it might freak them out and that'll be your last date. But the thing is that also too, you need to be honest, but know when to share that information. It's just like anybody with other issues that, you have to really know, is it going to go far enough for them to really know that I'm an empath? Is it really going to be that important? By the third date, you should know if it's going to go further or not. You should have already had those questions answered to say, no, he's not the one, move on. She's not the one, move on, kind of thing. So majority of the people out there are not empaths. So when you go to date, you have to be, it's challenging because as an empath, we already sort of know things before they're even said, or we may have such high intuition that you know how it's going to go or what's going to happen before it even happens. And this can become really tricky to somebody that is not an empath. And I'm going to start there because that's the majority of the people that you're going to date. So one of the things that is really a challenge is you get to know somebody. You begin to get to know somebody. Say you're past that third date. Say you're on maybe, a month into it or whatever. And maybe just about that time, it's if you're an intuitive empath or if you work on a spiritual basis and they aren't, they're going to start to think that maybe you're analyzing them. Really. They really will think you're either analyzing them, trying to, be a psychiatrist to them, when in all reality, you already know and you're just saying it. Or they'll say, well, how do you know those things? Or why do you know those things? Did you do a background check on me or something? Or, no, it's just that we are actually, that's the way an empath is. That's the way we work. And the way that we work is just by already knowing stuff. And that can really irritate a person. And what I mean by that in irritating a person is where they're at in their process of their life. So let me give you an example. So if you start dating somebody, say you're in your 20s and somebody broke up with somebody and they're not healed from that. And then I also want to talk about singleness as well in the dating process, because that's really, really important. But that person maybe broke up and maybe they're not quite healed, or maybe they don't understand what happened, but then they start dating somebody else. Well, they bring that energy into the next relationship and it's broken. So maybe they have some guilt to something they did in that last relationship and they're carrying that over to the new one. So if you just sort of maybe say something about, let's use cheating. Maybe the girl or the guy cheated on this person, so they're damaged or they're hurt about cheating. So then when you're in this new relationship and they're in this new relationship, they sit there and they're like, well, they've got issues of cheating. So you may say something like, I don't cheat or anything like that. Well, I don't have any problem. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm over that. Well, they're not. And the thing is, if the little things that mean absolutely nothing to somebody that is still healing is like a huge elephant in the living room. Thank you for that. So that is really becomes a real red flag, yellow flag, red flag. You can actually test it. But then it becomes more and more and more until the person the other person who doesn't understand the empath becomes really, really annoyed. So, oh, you're analyzing me all the time. Oh, you're doing this all the time. No, I'm really not. So that's sometimes a challenge empaths have, because if you have, like me, a little bit of clairvoyance and a lot of intuition, and you can read people and feel their energies, it really freaks them out. So be ready to have somebody freak out. I mean, even at one point, this gentleman, I really liked him. He's a really cutie, but he was a little bit too young probably for me, but he goes, "Are you a witch?" And I never even said a thing. So you have to then say, is this a time I tell them, about my abilities or not? Sometimes they will actually question you, and they'll say, what is going on with you? Why do you know stuff? And then that might be a door that you can open and share that if you're comfortable with it. But if you do share that information about being an empath, be ready to know that when you do, that it could go either way. It could, and you have to be ready for that. You have to be mature enough and healthy in your singleness, and that's what I was telling about before, to know that when you share that information, that it could go either way. And if it goes to the point where they don't want to talk to you or they ghost you or whatever, you have to be comfortable with knowing, one, that wasn't the person for you. That wasn't a soulmate for you. You don't need a soul tie. You need a soul mate. And two, that you're going to be okay in your singleness and keep moving on forward and be okay with it. If you are not at that point, because this is a thing that I sort of give as a tool and a tip. If you are not ready to be able to share that information and get rejected and be okay, then you have to go back and do work on your singleness before you even start dating. Because it's hard enough to date as it is with all the garbage that we have, that we've carried from our past, or suitcases, I should say. We have too many pieces of luggage. When you get down to one little light carry-on and you're ready to go, then if you were to lose that carry-on, it wouldn't matter. You could still keep moving forward. But the thing is, people haven't worked hard enough with getting rid of the baggage from the past, that when they get rejected, it brings them into a tailspin. If you're an empath, it's really, really important to do your singleness or your singlehood homework before you even begin to date. It's really, really important. And that's, I know, going into my Get Balanced 2020 stuff, but no matter if you're an empath or not, that is really important. An empath really has to look at it even twice as hard, because now you're bringing in a complexity of a different level into that relationship. So it takes me time to share that information, because as for me, I look at it, and if I date somebody and we go out one time or go out 2 times, it takes 3 times before I even think, okay, we're even actually going to see each other again, then actually share some really critical information with them. Unless the divine is telling me, hey, you need to share this information with them, then I will. But I'm talking about, maybe, like for me, I can tell when people are critically ill or they're dying, those kind of things. If that's something, I wouldn't share that with them right there and then, but I'm talking about that kind of information. Hello there, how you doing? So, and also to understand, when you're dating and you want to date an empath, or you are the empath wanting to date, it's going to be different between your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and my age, over 50. It's going to be different, because as you grow and develop as a young person to a more mature adult, your thought processes and what you look at are very different than what I would at my age. Because now at my age, dating, I'm looking for somebody who's settled down, who's been through it. We just want to enjoy each other's company and that kind of thing. How much are you reading? Can you clear that or specify what you mean by that? But the thing is, you want to be able to be comfortable enough in your singleness and your singlehood to be able to move forward in a rejection. And that's the biggest thing, because you will be rejected as an empath, because you will either, one, know too much or sense too much, or just know that that person isn't right for you. If you are a true empath, you should be able to go on that first date and know if that person really should be for you or not. And you should move forward. Never waste somebody's time because you don't want to hurt their feelings. So, you have to go on my website or go on to go onto my website or go onto down below and click on there, and there's some pricing on my website for that. So as an empath, you just have to be ready for rejection. If you're not, you need to go back into your singlehood. You need to be able to work that and get yourself to a point where you're very, very comfortable. Yeah, the private readings, you'll have to go down below and see the prices. Just click on the website link, and then you'll be able to go on there and see the prices there. So again, when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So in your 20s, you're going to be looking more for physical. You're going to look more for attractive. You're going to actually be looking more for the outside. Whereas when you're in my age group, you're looking more for the inside of the person. Because the outside, it's going to come and go. Or you have to sort of look at it too as an empath. Is that person going to be there for you through all the hard times? If you're an empath, most empaths are very, very sensitive to other people. So if I'm going to date somebody, their looks might be a little bit important, but I have to keep in my mind, what happens if they got themselves caught in a fire or a car accident, or if they had a limb severed, or if something was detrimental to their looks? You have to sort of look beyond that. Whereas the younger generations, we don't think about that much. We want somebody attractive, tall, handsome, dark, that kind of thing, right? So empath, though, you have to know, if you're a woman and you're going to tell a man about your empath abilities, most of the time it's going to freak them out. So you have to know how to open that conversation with them. You have to know how to actually present that with them. And maybe, like for me, I'm an empath with all 8 abilities. So am I going to bombard him and say, hey, I'm clairvoyant and I'm intuitive, and, they're going to go, whoa, maybe one ability at a time. Because as they get to know you more, they're going to figure things out a little bit more. And if they really, really want to know, you can share it with them more. Now, if it's a guy that's an empath telling a girl that, hey, I'm an empath, we have a lot more nurturing and loving and openness to a lot of us. And we might think that that guy is more of a weaker guy because he has those abilities, but we cannot allow ourselves to think that way. We want to be able to say, hey, that is great, because God has given him those abilities for him to touch somebody else with. Because our abilities are not for ourselves. Our abilities are to be worked through ourselves. And so you want to be able to be embracing of that person's abilities. It isn't as common for men to open up about their empath abilities. And in fact, you'll know when a man is more empathic because they will actually share that they can read people really, really well. That's one thing that men do, no matter across the board, if they're an empath or not, they will actually be able to read people like that. That's the God-given divine ability that he has graced them with, because they can read people. They know, but they may not share it, because that's part of the man game that they have. This is part of who they are, how they are built. So for them to come out and say, hey, yeah, I know what you're thinking. I know what, because then it'll turn around and maybe freak the lady out. Here's the thing. If you have issues or trauma from your past, then it will sort of freak you out a little bit, because whether it's either way, because somebody has you pegged before you even speak. Now, how you think of yourself, if somebody were to tell you how you are before you say a word, wouldn't that sort of put you back in your seat for a second and tell you certain things that maybe that they shouldn't know? Now, if somebody's dealing with trauma, maybe they were sexually abused or whatever, and that person could read that, hey, I without even saying a word, saying, I know that you were abused, or I know that you probably have been abused, without saying anything. So then there's a lot of different dynamics that go into that. So just remember, when you are dating somebody who is not an empath, to be gentle. Don't say anything at first unless you feel in your intuition it's time to say something, and then go from that point. Remember, 3 dates. You have three interviews, just like you have a job. You have 3 interviews to decide. But as an empath, you should know that first date, maybe that first phone conversation, maybe that first Zoom or Skype or whatever, you should know that this is before me, or this is potential, or no way. All I have to do is hear somebody's voice, talk to them for less than 5 minutes, and I know if I should hang up or just keep moving on, or actually ask for a date. I never ask for a date. Actually, always have the guy go after you. Never chase after a man. Get into my Get Balanced 2020 stuff. Don't ever chase after a man if you're a woman, because that is not the way it works. Well, even in this day and age, it's not the way it works, because men are hunters, providers, and that's what they do. Okay, so now if you're going to be dating, you're an empath and another person's an empath. At first, again, you're in those first 3 dates. You don't know each other unless you're on an empath site or something like that, a dating site for empaths or something like that. But you don't really know what this person's like. You don't even know. So you can actually, again, in that 3-date process, hey, just sort of curiosity. I like all kinds of topics. Do you know what an empath is? And they might say, oh, wow, yeah, I do. I'm an empath. Boom, your door is open and you're good to go. So the thing is about empaths, you can actually have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful relationship, sharing each other's abilities, understanding each other's, be empathetic to each other's abilities. But then there's also, to the flip side of that, is that maybe somebody's abilities they think that they're stronger than yours, or maybe theirs are they're at a different level, even though you're looking at it and you might be more empathic than them, saying, no, that's not quite right how that goes. So this is where some friction can come in. So if an empath isn't sort of at the same abilities or can understand the different levels, then basically you can run into some conflict and some friction. So, but here's the other thing too, is each person has their own ability and their journey for whatever reason they have it. It's not for them. It's not to stop at them. It's supposed to go through and move and help others for whatever it is. And it might be just one person that the divine wants you to help, or it might be whole thousands of people that he wants you to help in whatever platform you're in. So if you both are working together and dating, and it's like, okay, one is stronger in hearing, one is more stronger in intuitiveness, maybe this one's stronger in sensations of energies, and this one maybe does animals, understands the vibrations of animals, or maybe can speak to animals. It all just depends on each other's. And if you can complement each other and come together and work together with that, that ends up with a beautiful relationship. The problem is that if you both have hearing and you both have intuitive, and maybe you have something else there, then what happens is one actually wants to always think that they're better than the other or higher than the other. I don't want to say better, higher level than the other. And then what ends up happening to do is the other person might feel a little bit, not quite adequate or complete, that kind of thing. So we want to have this person lift this person up to a higher level. That empath, when you're dating, that empath, if they're not helping you lift yourself up to a higher level, but they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you know what? That's not how it works. Then they're trying to lower your level down. That's not going to be a good relationship. When you're both empaths, you should be lifting each other up in a relationship or dating. Even if you're early dating, you should be lifting each other up. And for the person that actually maybe is here, you're supposed to be lifting this person up here, okay? But if you're up here, if your level is here, say in hearing, we'll keep talking about hearing. And your level is here, as you hear things all day long, and this person maybe is like once every now and then what happens is you start lowering yourself to make so that that person is able to understand you. That's not how it works. That you want to stay where you're at, bring that person up. Does that make sense? So dating each other as an empath can be a really beautiful thing, or it can actually be a little bit detrimental. And the reason why I say this is, and the reason why I think the divine brought this on, is one, there are couples out there that really, really do have good relationships, more so than not. But I do know of a relationship that actually these two people met, and I even stood in next to them for their energies to read their energies. And the thing is that I could just feel like the competitiveness going on. And I thought, this is not good. And then it got to be where somebody was snarky with the other one. I'm like, okay, this is not good. If you get into that kind of situation where if you're not a person that reads and feels energies, and you begin to feel like somebody's more competitive about being an empath, it's not a game. It's not a competition. It is something to help grow each other and love each other to that point. So if you're starting in dating and you are two empaths and you're actually feeling more conflict, or you're actually feeling that competitiveness, have a big discussion, because that right there and then is a huge red flag, because then it becomes a competitive thing. Not only spiritually, but it also emotionally. And that can actually turn sometimes to verbal abuse, emotional abuse. And so you have to be really, really mindful of the red flags. Pretty simple, pretty basic. So again, when you're dating, when you're an empath and you want to date, and the person is not an empath, it is going to be almost imperative to you to know and listen to your intuition when it's time to share that information, or if it is. Now, if you're dating and it's never been brought up, and say 6 months or a year or year and a half, and it's still not brought up, and then somebody pops the question, that better be a time to bring it up, because you don't want to live a secret life. This is one thing I will tell anybody I do coaching with, whether it's spiritual coaching, empath coaching, life balance coaching, nutrition coaching, fitness coaching, any of those that I do coaching with, I will tell you, do not lead a secret life. It doesn't work. And you keep secrets, you live it squashed, your vibrations are lower, your energies are lower, you are living a fake life, you're living life for somebody else, not for yourself, when in all reality you need to be listening to your heart, your intuition, your journey, your process, and all that kind of stuff for you. And it is so freeing. And I tell you this from firsthand experience. I lived a squished life for 50 years. Knowing I was an empath, knowing that all that stuff, 50 years. I knew through the dating process, and I knew things, and I didn't share them. I didn't share them with anybody. I lived a life of quiet solitude, knowing of not all my abilities, because when I came out in 2019, about I'm not hiding anymore. This is who I am. If you like me, you do. If you don't, keep moving. Then it was such a freeing experience. If you haven't got that point in your singleness, if you aren't completely open and honest with yourself and truthful, that's the divine. Love and truth, love and truth, love and truth. That's all it is. Keep pounding those into your head. If you're not there with yourself on that, it's not time to date, because then you bring a whole entourage of mess into a relationship. So please make sure that you know yourself before you get into a relationship as an empath, because it is more complicated. And some will accept you and some will not accept you. And when you share that information, be ready, again, with my final words, be ready to know if you are okay that they will say, hey, I can't deal with that, or they ghost you, or they're just not in that kind of a thing. Are you okay with the rejection? Are you able to keep moving forward, to keep going forward, and to find that person that will embrace you completely? Are you ready for that? That would be my ending thought for you if you're in the dating. And if you're young, give yourself time to date. Give yourself, if you get past those 3 dates, give yourself time. Listen to that intuition, because that's part of being an empath. If we don't listen to that gift the divine has given us, what are we doing? Don't call yourself an empath if you don't want to listen to all that is going on inside that the divine has given you. Because that's not fair. That's like slapping him in the face for the gift he's given you. He's telling you something with the intuition to either protect you, to move you forward into something, to hold you back from something, or to give you a blessing or reward or harvest, however you want. If you're not ready to be honest and truthful with yourself and listen to your intuition, then you really are not being fair to the person that actually wants to go out with you. All right. That's just the way that I have seen it in many, 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 many years. How many times have I been rejected? I can't count on one hand, 2 hands. Maybe I got to put my feet up. I don't know. Sometimes in my earlier years, was I hurt? Yeah, because I wasn't healed. I wasn't healed. Am I hurt now? No. In my 40s and 50s, I would say mostly in my 50s, but I'm okay in my singleness, whether I find somebody or not, because my job as an empath is not to be in a relationship. It is to be there and be a conduit for God and to work as a conduit for him. So whether he brings somebody forward or not, it's okay either way. You have to be in a point in your life where it's okay, whether you're single or not. And then you're like, yeah, but it's so lonely as an empath. If you're saying that as an empath, then you don't know yourself very well, because it's not about loneliness. Because if you are lonely, being an empath, you are still in the earthly realm of looking for external, outside validation and love. If you are a true empath and know yourself and know the divine, you will be happy in yourself, in your own skin, and be joyful, and whatever comes, whatever doesn't, it doesn't. So, I mean, you really have to know yourself before you bring another person into it. So, there's only 2 scenarios: a person who dates an empath, and then a person who dates somebody who's not an empath. Pick your worst of the evils. No, I'm just joking. They're all beautiful once you know. And any relationship's beautiful, whether you touch somebody when they come into your, go out for 1 or 2 dates, there's something that a seed is being planted, whether you know it or not. Even if you say 1 or 2 dates, there's a seed being planted. So just know what that is for you and why you're backing away. Or if your intuition is saying, nope, that's not it. Ask yourself why. Why is this person not it? You know, what is it? What is it about them? Then you learn more about yourself as well. So that's sort of my tips and tools as far as dating an empath or not dating an empath. My choice, I don't want to date an empath. I don't mind dating, well, men, they can figure you out if they want to, because they actually can read women and people very, very well. You'd be really surprised. But they don't share it because it's a man code. But the thing is, for me, I am so high in my intuition. I don't want that competitiveness. I don't want to have any conflict. I want somebody to grow their abilities. Am I friends with empaths? Yes. Do I have men that are empaths? Yes. Do I have women that are empaths? Yes. Do I want to date an empath? No. That's just me, though. But I do know empaths that have dated empaths, and they're beautiful, beautiful relationships. But I know me. And that's the thing, again, I'm talking about I know me. So do you know you? Are you ready to date an empath? Do you want to date another empath? That's up to you. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you would like to go and see the other 4 videos of the series, Life as an Empath, it gives you lots of little tools and things. It talks about energy vampires, talks about all kinds of things. Please just look at the links down below or go to my channel. Please like, share, subscribe. The more that I know that these empath videos are helpful, I'm seeing that there's an increase of views. So if you like it, then I can see, if you subscribe, I know that I should be doing more of these videos. But I do them live, so if you want to come in and comment, if you want to send a comment, what you would like to see and watch as an empath or an intuitive, or maybe my other abilities you want me to talk, maybe these are abilities that relate to you, please subscribe and hit the bell so you get a notification when I'm on live, because I do like to do these live. Sometimes I wish I didn't because I stumble over a lot of what I talk about, but I do like to come on here. And if I get enough interest, then sometime I may come and do a Q&A when I have enough subscribers. So you guys have a good time and enjoy the rest of your day, and please come and see my readings. I am doing another reading. If this is live and you're getting this before September 8th, which is tomorrow, I'm doing a live retrograde reading tomorrow on the 8th at 4 o'clock. So come and see me there. All right. Hit that bell so that you get notified I'm on. All right. Take care.